Hey everybody, welcome back to the Carryandcur YouTube channel. And if you're new here, I sure do appreciate you stopping by and watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Also check out our Instagram at Carryandcut and our Patreon at Carryandcut. All the support from Patreon goes directly back into the channel to buy new knives and new equipment to hopefully make the quality and the content better for you guys. So today, we got the tools out again. So we're going to be doing a disassembly and maintenance video on this Ganzo G729. This is another one of Jimmie Crowe's knives. If you missed out on the full review of this thing, make sure you go back and check that out. It's definitely a pretty interesting knife, man. I struggled over that one. It's definitely a pretty interesting knife, and to see what they got going on here, especially for the price point that they're trying to hit with this thing, it's just kind of incredible what they're able to do here. So let's go ahead and get this thing taken apart. Let's go ahead and get our tools off the side. All of my tools will be linked down in the description below if you guys would like to check them out. It's completely up to you. Let's go ahead and start with the pocket clip here. We got T6 on the pocket clip screws, 3 of them. And these all should be the same length, but just to be sure, we're going to keep them all together here. Make sure you're extra careful when you're taking out your T6s. Don't want to strip anything out. And all 3 of those appear to be the exact same length and size, but we'll just go ahead and keep them over here on the side. Alright, we're going to keep on going along with this thing. I'm pretty sure it's going to be similar to any other crossbar locking knife. It seems like we do have a captive pivot, so that is definitely nice to see. Love that. And we're going to go ahead and put let's put our pivot hardware over here on this side. Just going to push the pivot right out of this thing. There we go. We do have a captive pivot. That is definitely nice to see, but it does screw in on that side too, so it's kind of strange on that regard. So there is our actual main blade, and we do have, I think there should be another washer in there. This side looks like it has a Teflon. Huh. That is about the strangest thing I've ever seen in the world. So we have a Teflon washer on one side and then a nylon washer on the other. I wonder what in the heck made them think to do that. That is kind of crazy to me why they would only make, I've seen some companies do nylon and phosphor bronze at the same time, but I've never seen one on one side and one on the other. And I'm definitely not the thickness on those. I mean, I don't have my super micrometer eyes going, but they appear to be the exact same thing. So that is going to be very, very strange. Don't really know what is going on there. All right, let's go ahead and take this scale off here and get down into the liner of this thing. There's that one right there. We'll go ahead and keep these apart. Keep them differentiated at least. There we go. They are going to be the same exact size, so that's going to be nice. Not going to have to worry too much about it here. Can we get the scale off there? There we go. Alright, so we're pretty much the same as any other Benchmade knife would be, or any other crossbar locking knife. Let's just go ahead and keep on going. Let's get this side apart too, why don't we? Let's tear the whole thing down. We probably could stop right here. Make sure you're very careful with your T6 to put a whole, good amount of pressure when you are taking these things apart. That right there. Alright. So that is definitely interesting what's going on with the whole entire pivot setup with the phosphor bronze and then the other kind of nylon washer they have going. So just like any typical crossbar locking knife, knives can be in there like that, and your when you pull back on your actual crossbar, it's going to be able to let the blade fall, and when you're locked in just like that right there. So that is the actual action of a crossbar lock. Here's your Omega springs. It's definitely a different setup than what Benchmade's would be, but it's pretty similar. Sometimes Benchmade knives, the Omega spring locks in right here. So we do have a I don't know. It just seems like a weak detent to me. I'm not sure if the spring pressure just isn't as good on a knife like this versus other ones, but it's still pretty interesting and definitely comes apart just like a Benchmade would. So let's go ahead and I'm just gonna leave it right here. Don't want to get too crazy. There really ain't too much left to go on this thing, other you could just pop the crossbar out, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people know what's going on with that already. So we got our 2 barrel spacers. Let's go ahead and start putting this thing back together. Let's go ahead and scrub this thing down here. This knife's already exceptionally clean, so that's nice to see. Alright. And throw this side on here. Alright, let's go ahead and get our Locktite out now. Get our T6 back out. We'll start putting these body screws back in. Don't lose your T6s. Just a little dab. Nothing too crazy going on here. And we're just doing a initial tightening. We're not going overboard. We're not doing nothing crazy. Same with this one right here. Alright, flip it over. We'll put the other side back together now. And of course, this is when your whole after you get this put on, this is when it gets a little bit tricky when you go to actually putting this pivot together. But we will see. We got a little tool here. We'll see if it helps anything out. Our good buddy Stephen Weigel sent this ODC for EDC pivot kit for us, and it's definitely pretty interesting how they work, especially when you have a nice captive pivot like Benchmade uses. These are really nice, and so we just got to find what size we're looking for. I'm thinking it's going to be just about the size like this. So these do have the D-shaped kind of flat spot, if you guys can see that right there, just like most of your captive pivots do, just like so. Let's see if this one fits through here. This one does fit through there pretty well. So let's go ahead and see what we got going on here. Let's go ahead and get our KPL out. We're going to go ahead and put a little bit on our bronze washer here. And of course this does act as a lubricant, and it also holds our hardware, not our hardware, but it holds our washer in place here. So we're going to go ahead and slide him up in there. Whoop, sorry, hit you guys. Alright, so there's one of them. Now we're going to go ahead and get our phosphor or nylon washer going here. Get a little bit of KPL on there just to hold it in place. Just like so. Try to slide it in there roughly where you think you're going to need it. Just like that. And this kit also does come with these really cool doodads right here that keep your crossbar engaged. So that is definitely another big part of this when it's kind of hard to keep everything aligned just right, and when you have this crossbar held back, it does make a huge difference. So just like that. Alright, so now let's go ahead and get our blade, try to insert him in here just like so, and our one washer is already running away from us, so we're going to try to head and push this back into position here. Oh, I'm losing it. Lost it. Darn it. Almost need a third hand sometimes when you're working with this stuff. We can slide him right back in there. There we go. I'd say that these crossbar locking knives, sometimes they can be the most challenging to work on, and that's just from my personal opinion and experience. Sometimes they definitely give you a run for your money, which it shouldn't be that difficult, but sometimes they make it way more hard than it has to be. And I'm already losing the nylon in there now, so that is even better to see. God love it. Where'd that thing run off to? There it is right there. Definitely humbles you a little bit. You can take apart 100 knives and sometimes they still just want to give you all sorts of issues. Just like this one was wanting to do. So it's just a patience thing. You got to be patient. Just like that right there. Alright. Let's see if we can stab this thing in here again. It definitely does not want to stay still. Neither does this one. You could also kind of go at another approach on this, but it's a little more difficult to do it any other way, I have found. Alright, there's one of them. I'll try to keep this thing in line here. Alright, go ahead and slide this one back in. Darn it. This thing is whooping me. Definitely giving me a run for my money. We're almost home free. Alright, so now we're getting somewhere. We actually have the whole entire pivot assembly, and here's where this tool comes into play. So you get that set in there just like so. And I think sometimes you just got to find out where your actual man, this thing's making me look like an amateur. There we go. Perfect, just like that. Shoo. That was almost a lot harder than it had to be. Sorry about that, guys. It's just something you have to mess with. You just got to play with it, and eventually, just don't give up. It'll come through. Just getting your washers lined up is about the hardest thing you can do on there. So a little bit of Loctite. And we're definitely have to run a little bit more KPL down inside this thing. Alright, go ahead and tighten your pivot on up a little bit. See if we can get our little tool back out of there. Check our centering. We're looking right on the money for centering. Let's go ahead and tighten up the rest of our body screws now and get our T6 back out. And nothing crazy. Remember, we put some Loctite on there so we don't have to super wrench on these things. Just like so. A little more there. Alright, centering's still on point. Maybe a little loose. It just seems like there's no like pop to it. There we go. Centering's still right on the money. Perfect. Alright, so that's definitely not too terrible. I'm going to go ahead and set this thing up for tip up right hand carry. That's how Jimmy likes his knives, and I prefer to carry them that way also. Oh shoot. And throwing around all your T6s here. Don't lose any of these. They're easy to do. Alright, so we're just going to get a little bit of Loctite on there, just like so. Perfect. And there was no Loctite on any of these bolts from the factory too, so that is kind of strange to see. Maybe that's another way they're kind of cutting a corner to keep the price as low as they can. They don't got to pay on any Loctite. But if you've ever taken apart a Spyderco knife, then you know they're not shy about their Loctites. Maybe that's the reason why their prices are a little higher. Alright, so on your T6 screws, always like to back them off a little bit, try to get your threads set in. You'll kind of feel it pop. But you definitely don't want to torque on these things if they're not going lined up, because you do not want to cross-thread these T6s. The threads are tiny on them, and the bolt heads are super fragile at the same time. Alright, so that is how you disassemble and maintain your Ganzo G729 or any other crossbar style locking knife, kind of similar to the bug outs and everything else. The bug outs are different because they have like a cartridge liner for the actual crossbar locking mechanism, so that one's a little bit different, but most of your crossbar locking knives, you can kind of use this example and figure your way through them at least. Hopefully somebody learned something from this. I know I sure did. That the Ganzo G729 can definitely kick my butt. So, and like I said, all the links for everything will be down in the description below. If you guys would like to check them out, definitely does help the channel. But until next time, thanks.